Hi everyone, I'm Andrea Klim, and today is March 21st, 2021, and I'm going to be talking about the influences of the upcoming full moon in Libra that's occurring on March 28th. And I'm also going to be talking about the second half of March, the Aries Spring Equinox that occurred just yesterday, and the super full moon that we have coming up, as I said earlier, on the 28th. And this is the first big milestone in the second half of March, which is the Aries Spring Equinox. And this is happening on the 20th of March, and it's happening about 5:28 Eastern Standard Time. And it's a very important point because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. And for astrologers, when the sun enters into the sign of Aries, using the tropical Western astrology, this is the beginning of the astrological year, so it is always a very important time. And the chart for that moment acts like a backdrop. It's like hitting a gong, and it acts as a backdrop for the following 12 months. And it sets up a lot of the themes that I'm going to be talking about moving forward. It's even more important this time because this is the first spring equinox that we've had since the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in the early degrees of Aquarius, which is an air sign that occurred on the 21st of December, and that delivered a big surge of energy. So this is the beginning because we're in a whole new air paradigm for about another 200 years. And this repeating Jupiter-Saturn conjunction does happen about every 20 years. And it is it creates a whole shift of a paradigm and is marking a very big new beginning because of that. So this is really notable because there are waves of photon, gamma, ray, neutrino light that is coming onto the earth. And many people are feeling these symptoms in many ways. These physical symptoms can be quite uncomfortable, and they're causing symptoms like dizziness, headaches, sleeplessness, anxiety, etc. So this is because we're all being recalibrated by this new light code. And it's really amazing in this context that roughly every 12,000 years, 11 to 12,000 years, the Earth moves through this photon belt. So it's very, very rare. And I did a little bit of research on this, and you can look at mazastic.com, mazastic.com. It explains more about the photon belt's ascension energy signs and symptoms and what the photon belt is. And according to Barbara Han Cloud and others, we're moving into a zone in space that is a band of photon energy. Our star moves into that band for about 2,000 years. And this event happens about every, as I said earlier, every 11, 12,000 years. The last time this happened, we were in Atlantis. So according to the site I mentioned earlier, mazastic.com, while dowsing, it's been discovered that the day before every equinox and solstice, there's 4 days in the year that all energy lines on the earth come into harmony. And because of this, these are wonderful days to meditate, pray, set intentions, and just find yourself a way to get into balance, into alignment with this shift of energy. And this is exactly what ancient people did. They planned their ceremonies around the equinoxes and the solstice. And, it was interesting. Yesterday, I took a trip down to Port Lucie, Florida. There was a powwow, and I'd never been to a powwow before, and I really wanted to attend one. I am actually fifth generation Abenaki, Native American from the North America. My great-great-grandmother was an Abenaki squaw. Her name was Papin. And so this is in my DNA, and, to this culture and this type of community. So it was a really great day. And I'm going to show you a video I took of a great performance by Cody, who did a hoop dance, which is actually a dance that is a very sacred dance. And I'm going to let him explain that to you in the video. I can actually go ahead and share that with you right now, since we're at this point.
Cody Bettner, and I'd like for him to explain this specialty style of dance to you. So ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cody Bettner.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you guys for coming out here today. How's everyone doing?
Awesome.
And thank you guys again for coming out here. What I would like to do here is explain to you this next style of dance that we're going to be doing for you. And this style of dancing is actually known as a hoop dance. This is a very special style of dancing. It actually has nothing to do with taking a hoop and putting it around your waist and seeing how long you can keep the hoop up. That has nothing to do with it at all. This style of dancing did come from a specific tribe, and that tribe is the Pueblo. The Pueblo, they live still today in what is Arizona, so that territory out there. It has evolved over time from what it used to be. A long time ago, they did have hoops, and it wasn't colorful like this. What they would do is they would take the branches of the trees that they could find in the tumbleweeds, and they would make those into hoops. And when they were dancing, when they were doing ceremonies, they would dance with these hoops sometimes. A lot of times what they would think about is they would think about things around them that influenced their life as they were growing up. So maybe they thought about their upbringing and their family and the things around them. Maybe they thought about their mother. Maybe their mother was making a basket one day and they tried to create a basket out of these hoops. Maybe there was a bird flying way up high and they tried to create some type of bird with these hoops. And every single time that they would make one of those designs, they would pray for those things, because these are things that they had around them, and these are things that influenced their life. So in a sense, this was a ceremonial style of dance. It was a dance of prayer. And if you think about the circle, a circle is very symbolic to everything around us. There's many things around us that are in a circle. If you look at the arena here, of course, it's in a circle. But look at the trunk of a tree, that's also in a circular motion as well. Our lives are also circles. We're born at a certain point, maybe at the bottom of that hoop, and we go through our life and we learn different things. And when we get to the top of that hoop, maybe we are we have a family now, and we have people below us that are looking up to us, looking for advice, looking to learn some new things. And if you make it, 3/4 of the way around that hoop, maybe that's old age. And some Native people believe that you'd be lucky to get to old age and you're just about to complete your circle or your life. When you get back down to the bottom of that hoop, you're going to give your body back to the soil. And from that, the grass and the trees and the plants would grow, and things would eat those plants. Things would eat those animals, and so that circle kind of continues on and on and on, of course. Our bodies are also made up of circles, little tiny cells. And so there's many different things in this world that are made out of these hoops.
Thank you, Cody. Now, what he's going to do is he's going to place these hoops on the ground in a certain manner. Now, you really don't ever see the same formation by two different hoop dancers. Every hoop dancer has its own formation that they set these hoops and place these hoops on the ground. Now, a lot of these hoop dancers are encouraged by the crowd, by the loud noise. It actually helps them prepare for the World Championships. It helps them prepare for these moments. So if you see something that you really, really like, you see something that really impresses you or you can appreciate, do not be scared or shy to give him a round of applause. All it's going to do is encourage him and make him dance that much harder. So ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and give Mr. Cody Bettner a round of applause in the hoop dance.
and there were many, many different dances, and it was great. It was, this was done on the spring equinox. So there were, it was a celebration of the beginning of the cardinal point of Aries, which is a starting point, which is an action point, a motivational point. So it was very motivating. And so anyway, I thought you'd really enjoy seeing that. It was just a phenomenal event. And so I'm going to go and continue on with the rest of the interpretation of the energy of the upcoming full moon and some other planetary alignments that are happening. And, as you could feel with those videos, there were surges of energy that we were all feeling this at this time on this earth. And also because of the square between Uranus and Saturn, it's especially electric. And so it's going to produce these peaks and valleys of energy throughout this year due to that square between Uranus and Taurus and Saturn and Aquarius. But for many of us, we're feeling this surge of energy right now. And it's going to, it did really peak yesterday on the spring equinox. I kind of see that as a launching board toward our future. And this energy is going to continue for about another month. And then as we move into May and June, these will be the peak months of change because these are the eclipse months. And so, twice a year, we have a series of eclipses. The first one in May is going to be lunar, and then there's going to be a solar. So I'll be talking about those in future recordings. But at the time of solstices and equinoxes, the Earth's magnetic field can actually produce cracks. And what this does is it allows high vibrational light onto the Earth. And this is known as the Bobby McFerrin effect. He was an American folk jazz vocalist who's known for his vocal techniques such as singing fluidly, but with quick and considerable jumps in pitch, much like what we experience on the equinoxes and the solstices. So this is where science and spirituality are really merging, and we're starting to understand the science of why the energy is so powerful at these certain times. So again, this is a very important day. And I said earlier, it's like a launch or a springboard, like a diving board forward. And the December 21st, Saturn and Jupiter alignment in Aquarius did produce an important surge, and it was felt around the world. And now the spring equinox is another, and it produced another boost to our consciousness. So if you know your chart, your birth chart at all, and you have any planets registering at 0 degrees of Aries, or from 28 degrees to 2 degrees of any of the cardinal signs, which are Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn, and there's any aspects, you'll feel this surge happening on the 20th of March. I know I certainly felt it. I have Venus at 0 degrees of Leo, so it was really a beautiful, fun event for me. And I met lots of really wonderful people. They actually had the introductory, the opening was a husband and a wife team that were Aztec, and they did a ceremonial dance that was welcoming this energy. And it was just beautiful, beautiful. And they invited people, they called them the beautiful ladies and the handsome men up, and they picked 4 people from the crowd, and I got picked and I was up there. And so we had a great time dancing together and celebrating along with this great community. And so now Aries energy influences leadership, and is an energy of the warrior. And so regarding leadership, ask yourself, are you the leader in your life, or you look to others, to external sources for leadership, and then allow those people to tell you what to do? If you work in a corporation or you work for someone else, in a big organization, that's going to happen. But focusing only on you, you can still be the leader who determines your own decisions. And it's so important, because if you're allowing others to dictate the direction of your life, you're always going to feel like something's missing, that you're not speaking your heart, you're not speaking your truth. So it's very, very important. It took me most of my life to learn that. And once you realize that the only true leader is our Creator, and that's the light we're meant to follow. And we can certainly honor each other and the relationships in our life, which is what this full moon in Libra is bringing to light, which is bringing what it's bringing to illumination. But there's definitely a balance. There's definitely a need for, compliance, for, a sense of justice and fairness in all relationships. So it's really important that we hear each other and that we allow each other to express ourselves in that creative way. Libra's ruled by the planet Venus, which is all about love. It's all about affection. It's all about security. And so there's always a give and take in personal relationships, business relationships, relationships that are, very close to us. And so it's really important, I think, that many of us are going to see this level of enlightenment in our lives at the time, as this full moon on the 28th approaches. And so Aries is linked to the warrior because Mars rules Aries. And a warrior can be fighting for your beliefs, but it really means standing up for your beliefs, and then in turn being a crusader for love and a crusader for light. And we do create our own reality through our thinking, through our emotions. And I'm certainly feeling this right now quite clear, and more than I ever felt it before. The old paradigm is falling, and I feel like I am starting a whole new pattern of healthier responses with a fresh new notepad to write my new story. And that's the North Node in Gemini. It's all about the new story. It's about things that we find joy in. And so this is really important, and that is happening right now. So we all have the opportunity to live now from the inside out rather than from the outside in. Now light and sound technologies are becoming more common in healing, and more of these are going to become publicly available. So it's very important too, as a piece of this economic promise of light healing for all of us. So, I took a look at the astrocartography of this area's equinox, and remembering this is, this chart is going to be active for the next 12 months. And astrocartography is a type of reading that I do where I take a birth chart and lay it over the world map. And you can see where the planetary lines cross over in the Earth. And these would be areas that would be important for you in your life. You go somewhere, you go for a visit somewhere, you feel compelled to go there, and it's because you feel a connection or you have an interest there. And that's what astrocartography can do. It can help you to discover where is the best place for you to go to achieve certain experiences that are really important to you in your life. So it's a great reading. I actually have a very dear friend I did this for some time ago, and they were hoping to move to a warmer climate, and I laid her and her fiance's birth chart over the United States map, and then one of their lines went right through Naples. So they went and visited Naples, and they bought a piece of land, and now they're building a house. So I'm really happy for them. And they felt a real connection with this place. So that is, astrocartography. It's a great tool for identifying where you could go on this planet to achieve the goals that you're hoping to achieve. So I took a look to see where Mars was on the astrocartography chart, and I noticed that Mars was, when it becomes angular, because that is when planets become powerful, meaning that they're having a conversation with part of the chart that's really important. Angular means that it brings something into the public eye. And that Mars goes right through China and is on the midheaven of China. And in mundane astrology, the midheaven of a country is linked to the leadership of the government. This can mean that over the next 12 months, China could become more assertive. This is a strong possibility. Then I took a look at where Uranus becomes angular on this spring equinox, and it falls just east of Australia, and it's going over the midheaven of India. It's on the IC, or the land, or the root place, meaning the home base of Mexico, and up through the central part of the US. So talking about Uranus and its disruptive and eruptive influences, the possibility of earthquakes could be the cause of radical changes. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. This can also influence human rights and topics around freedom due to Uranus's rulership of Aquarius. And some of the other important aspects of this equinox on a universal level have to do with the North Node in Gemini, which is at the midpoint of the Moon and Mars, and may influence more assertive and more aggressive type of responses. And in addition, Mars is square to Mercury, so people can be angry and be more apt to speak with anger. So it could be that some new information comes out around this time, and we are verbally more impulsively responding around the 24th. Now, remember, this is universal, so this is energy that's affecting everyone, and it depending on your birth chart, it would depend on what's in your birth chart and where Mars is and how it's influencing you, whether the degree of those experiences is higher or lessened. So that you would know by having a reading done, looking at the transits to your birth chart from the planets and where they are in motion and the conversations that they're having with planets in your birth chart, which is the map of what your soul brought into this life. So with Mercury squaring the nodal axis, this is going to be a time when new perceptions and new information services. It's important to take note on the 26th of March that Mars is conjunct the North Node in Gemini. Now, the North Node points the direction that we're meant to stay focused on, meant to stay looking at, but there is equally a balance between the past and our past story, our past comforts, our past beliefs, because the South Node is in Sagittarius. So this happens roughly every 2 years that Mars is on top of the nodes. And so most often this means an assertive event occurs on the public stage in some way. Historically, one of the times this happened was when Mars was conjunct the nodal axis, and this was on 9/11. Now, I'm not suggesting it's going to be this traumatic, but we should just observe and understand that the influence of Mars is one of anger, assertiveness, and aggression and action. So on the 28th of March, this happens at 2:14 Eastern Standard Time, as we have a super full moon, and which is at 8 degrees of Libra, in 17 minutes. This is a super moon because the moon is very close to the Earth, and this will influence a strong pull on the tides, but it's also going to affect the tectonic plates of the Earth. So look at your birth chart to see where 8 degrees of Libra falls in your chart and which house or area will be illuminated in your life. And if you'd like to know more about the effects of this full moon and the current transits that you're in that are influencing your life now and moving forward and the timing on that, I am available for readings. You can contact me at Andrea at Turn to the Stars, or you can take a look at my website, turntothestars.com, and go to astrology services. I have, a menu there where you can look at the different type of services I offer. So, if you know more about the effects of the full moon, you're going to know where this illumination, what's coming to full light, what's coming to completion in your life. And This full moon can influence a completion, a closure. It can also shine light on something you didn't know about before. Because this full moon is in Libra surrounding relationships, issues may come to light which you were not aware of, or a relationship comes to a close, and emotions can be magnified because the moon is at its peak of light when it's full. So the sun is shining exactly opposite the moon and it's fully lit up. It's fully illuminated. So we're also going to have some interesting aspects. We've got the sun beside Chiron and Venus in a very tight conjunction, and they're all at 8 degrees of Aries on this full moon. So this involves healing through love at this super full moon. So this, again, is very important. Now, Libra is a sign that influences also fairness, equality, cooperation, and it's linked to social justice. So the two signs that are linked to the law are Libra, because it is the scales of justice, and Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter, because it's about the truth. So what's interesting here as well is the South Node this year is in Sagittarius. The South Node is our collective past, and it shows a direction we should be aware of, but not focused on because it no longer is working well. So Sagittarius also rules a higher educational system such as college, any type of trade school or business school, anything that takes you beyond high school. And, you know, as we all know, due to the pandemic, it isn't safe to be gathered in groups that congregate. But with Jupiter in Aquarius for most of this year, legal issues around human rights and freedoms will certainly become a focus. So I do think legal issues could be very prominent this year, and maybe particularly around this Libra full moon as well. And there is a dominant theme for change that's coming up, you know, from the world, from the people. And the foundational roots is emphasized by the moon at 8 degrees of Libra, as it is exactly quincunx Uranus at 8 degrees of Taurus. So this creates a restlessness in people who want radical change and to be freer to express themselves. What will help us with this full supermoon is that Mercury is tightly conjunct Neptune in Pisces, and this inspires inspiration and imagination. But we also have an air grand trine with the moon in Libra, trining Mars in Gemini, trining Saturn in Aquarius. So we've got an equilateral triangle. And there's also what I call a diamond soul, or in traditional astrology, it's called a kite. And this is a reference to the strength and the amount of light that is present all around us by this grand trine in air. So it's influencing ideas, creativity, and expression. And so it is, you know, it's really a beautiful, beautiful energy on this full moon. And it's about birthing new ideas that stay for a very long time. And with Saturn, we're bringing out new ideas with Saturn and Aquarius that can stay for the long term. There's going to be much innovation this year with Uranus being so strong and with the planets in Aquarius being so prominent. So there's also a forward movement at this time. All of the planets are moving direct until April 27th when Pluto turns retrograde. So until then, all the planets are moving direct, and this creates a forward momentum. Also with this stellium, meaning that there's a collection of planets in Aries, this influences progress and quick movement. And Mars is in Gemini, and this influences quick movement also because Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury likes to move. It never, ever sits still. So the North Node is also in Gemini, which inspires curiosity. Gemini is a very curious sign. So the North Node in Gemini is very connected to choices. And every single one of us on this earth, I believe, is going to be making some major choices in our lives this year because the North Node is in Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury. It's a sign which influences thinking, and that joy comes through outlets that provide us with information and focus on social networking. So it's very important that we remember that thinking is important, but more important is that we check in with our hearts before making decisions. That means take time to reflect on your body and what your heart, what your body is telling you. Is your body liking this energy? Is this something that is just a thought or an idea, or does it align or resonate with your heart? So I would really recommend being cautious of quick thinking without doing some research. Think carefully and look at different resources. That's going to be really important. So there's a strong symbolism with Uranus and Taurus. Now, Uranus is going to stay in Taurus until 2026, and that has all kinds of implications for extreme Earth events. Taurus rules the Earth, and Uranus is an eruptive energy, and earthquakes, tsunamis, etc. Those are things that we are most likely going to experience more of on Earth, because Uranus shakes things up. There's sudden, unexpected, change that seems to come out of nowhere with Uranus, surprises. So Taurus is also representative of the human body. So if we think of Taurus as tuning into nature, the natural rhythms of the earth, and doing things simply in a traditional way, like planting by the phases of the moon and so on and so forth. This is a time for tuning into nature, meaning this is a time for new inventions on earth. And so this is really, though, a bit of an oxymoron, as Uranus is linked to science and innovation. So it's earth, which is naturally, is organic versus inorganic, because Uranus is more science and Taurus is earth. It's the practical, beautiful things of the earth that are, stable and supportive. But Uranus is one that says, let's change it up. Let's do it different. Let's invent something new. So it is Taurus, or natural biology, versus technology and unnatural inventions. So we could be making some very different decisions in our lives going forward. With this kind of clash with Uranus and Taurus, which are so different, we're going to be looking to figure out how we can integrate them to work their best. So this is about us birthing a new inner technology, a new technology of consciousness on Earth. Exercises that integrate the human consciousness with the changing vibrations we are facing will help us to become more coherent. Any exercise that activates the parasympathetic nervous system and helps you to expand your aura will be helpful. Any exercise or action taken to bring focus back to love and gratitude is going to help. Taurus is the sign that's associated with our money, our materials, our belongings, things we value, but also, ideally, and the most perfect type of abundance is felt when we are grateful for what we have, and we express that, and we say thank you, and we appreciate things for this coming to us, or that we've earned this, or that we've been able to collect this. So it's really important to take time to be grateful for each and every day, and for your life every single day, and for the food and the abundance and the earth. And so that is, it's going to change everything in your life if you can shift your mind and shift yourself into that type of approach to life and response to life. And remember what Dr. David Hawkins said. He said, love is not an emotion, it's a consciousness, it's a state of being. And to really feel that, then we establish a much greater coherence. As we send love to the world, we're also establishing a very coherent and strong heart-brain connection. And this also activates our third eye, because Uranus in Aquarius energy is linked to Kundalini energy. Isn't it interesting that all this photonic light coming in is going to activate our third eye, but the heart links to the third eye also. So focus on breathing in and out through your heart and connecting your heart to your third eye to your heart. That's going to be a really helpful exercise. You're going to be expanding your heart chakra, your love, but you're also at the same time, with your eyes closed, looking up to your third eye. And, this can become your inner technology. And so with Uranus and Taurus, this becomes a natural new technology of consciousness. So it's exciting because in this way, we can tap into the energy of the planet and the sign and integrate this new consciousness. So the spring equinox on March 20th is really important as it influenced a pivotal point, and it was a tremendous time, and it still is, to focus on nature. And if you can be with like-minded people, from the 20th moving forward, and you're going to get this feeling of creating your life from the inside out. There's a lot of information coming to us throughout the day on the 20th and moving forward, and that does represent what we want in our future that can drag our frequency down. So it's a great time for identifying, what you don't really want to move forward with. So, I think that this has been really tough on people more than anything else throughout our lives, because the earth and the energy on earth is changing. Our DNA is changing. The influences of the planets and the world around us are changing at such a fast speed. And so to be very cognizant of that and open our hearts and to go with the flow of it the best we can, is all going to be in our best interest to do that. It has been a very tough time on earth, but also it's been a time that we've all been being wakened up, and our intuition is really heightening with Uranus and Taurus. So if you're able to screen out the effect of what's coming in and say, no, I determine my state of being, I'm the creator, I'm the warrior, I'm the leader of my life. And certainly this has been very strong this past week, and I'm sure many of you have felt it. I truly hope that this has been helpful. And, I do appreciate all of you and your continued support. And I hope that you do enjoy the super full moon in Libra on the 28th. And if I can help any of you with a more personal reading, you can check out my website at turntothestars.com. And to complete the universal forecast for the super full moon in Libra, I'm going to pick an animal card. I'm a practitioner of the healing arts of shamanism. And so I always look to nature for guidance, because nature is so much wiser than us, and it is what's awakening us. So I'm going to pull an animal card as a message for all of humanity for this full moon, and I got the blue heron, and its message is: make a stand for what you believe in and do what feels right in spite of any judgment or disapproval from others. And you can see the blue heron, and he's looking to the he's standing tall, and he's looking forward, and he's surrounded by this beautiful golden light of creativity and expression. So everyone, I want to say thanks for tuning in to Turn to the Stars, and wish you a very happy super full moon. And remember, turn to the stars and you'll find your answers there. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.